I'm talking about, of course, the history of IFA, one of the world's largest consumer electronics trade shows, record participation this year, some 1,212, a nice, interesting number there, exhibitors from 32 countries here this year. We have with us the Chief Operating Officer for Messe Berlin, the folks that produce IFA and put this great show on, Dr. Christian Göke. Christian, always a pleasure to have you with us on the show. You help us stay excited and add that emotion to everything going on here. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Thank you very much for having me in your show.
It's a pleasure. I found out, my staff did some additional research that you attended the University of Florida in Gainesville. That's in our neck of the woods.
Actually, I wouldn't call it attended it.
You once visited?
I happened to be at a Gator game.
I see.
Yeah,
and maybe accidentally thought, well, I could probably say I studied here. Because let me think for a moment. I've studied.
There is not that much studying in Florida, Gainesville.
No, there's a lot of partying.
I have to say that I truly liked my time in Florida.
I'll bet.
It was kind of an exchange program with the University of Milan.
There,
on the other hand, serious studies took place.
I see. Well, that's because it didn't have gators
Not at all.
to deal with. But now that I've thrown you, now we'll get down to business here and talk about.
That's business we are talking about.
It is business.
Right? So education is important in life.
Very true. And as a result, it brings to mind the excitement of a show such as IFA. So many extra visitors, so many more record-breaking exhibitors here at IFA. It is, now that it's an annual show, because it was every other year for so many years, it is certainly growing every year. And of course, people like Jens Heitecker and Dirk Kozlowski and those guys are actually working a little bit to keep it growing. But you and your team have decided it's time to go annual. Every year there are so many new products coming out. You've got to have a show like this here in Europe to tell everybody about it.
Right. I mean, you perfectly summed it up.
Well, thanks for joining us.
The punchline was just there, and couldn't do it any better. No, it's, as a matter of fact, that was a major entrepreneurial step for us to change into this annual rhythm. And it truly worked out. So I don't know if it belongs to the fact that you joined us some years ago.
Well, we'd like to take a little credit.
At least
a little
some credit. Thanks to you.
If for no other reason than creating even more interest in consumer electronics.
Especially over there in the States.
Sure, because more and more people are saying, you know what, there are so many cool products coming out. And it takes shows like IFA, big shows, to be able to say companies are waiting to announce new products, several of which are announced here this week in Berlin.
Indeed.
That we have never seen before. The first Blu-ray disc camcorder, for example, among other things. And it does create that air of more interest in this business.
Well, you see, that I'm tempted to say that IFA is the show worldwide that is able to generate the highest and deepest level of interest for consumer electronic products worldwide.
And because you also allow consumers to attend this show.
That is one of our USPs, absolutely. I mean, only this triangle of exhibitors, trade visitors, consumers, and within this triangle media truly is able to generate this kind of leverage for the entire industry, for the new products, and especially for the excitement these products are able to provoke.
And there's nearly 250,000 visitors, I believe, attending the show this year. A lot of people. It's what's really unique about the setup here for IFA is that consumers can communicate directly with the manufacturers and right away show them what's interesting to them. And
they are, as a matter of fact, they are the perfect sounding board for the manufacturers. I mean, their R&D department is keenly observing the reaction of the visitors at the booth when playing around with the newest gadgets, and that is obviously a major function of IFA as well.
And for the first time at IFA this year, there was also a daily show publication, all in English, and widely distributed. I see so many people making reference to the daily publication, more and more English in general, because it truly is an international crowd.
Well, I'm more than happy that you are making this statement and this comment, because that's exactly where we are heading at. You can't pretend to be the international lead event when still maintaining as a first language, the first business language here, German. So let's say 2 years ago we truly decided and took the final decision to switch over to English. And by now I can say that indeed the first language with regard to everything, press statements, indicators, signs at the halls, statements, whatsoever, is English. And obviously we are still struggling with English, but we are doing our utmost to improve.
Well, I think you're not only doing a terrific job, but it's an opportunity where many exhibitors are realizing the importance of truly being more international, and not to sound snobbish well, everybody should speak English.
Absolutely.
But I think it's fair to say that with so many countries involved on an international scale, the chances are that you have more folks that will be able to understand and communicate, especially buyers and other consumers and manufacturers that want to convey their cool new products.
I mean, we have to admit as Europeans that by now the lingua franca is English, no doubt about that.
The lingua franca is English.
The lingua franca, so the language that is spoken most around the world, lingua franca, with reference to the history.
Sure.
Old Europe, all the stuff you're familiar with.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, but try to compare it to being not able to speak English and then go to Japan or to the States and try to find your way around, and then you will be happy to come to a kind of polyglot location like Berlin, and just one happy customer.
Oh, for sure. And what a fine city too. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's and I know you're not the director of the Chamber of Commerce, but as far as we're concerned, we love visiting Berlin for IFA every year now, because
Dave, come on, I mean, it's the place to be in Europe. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. You guys refer to Berlin as the capital of Europe, and there's no doubt about that. I mean, this is not, nobody on my staff questions coming to IFA because A, it's a terrific show, but B, it's also one of the most spectacular places in the world to visit.
Yes. And price level is modest and reasonable.
True. And they have hotel rooms.
Available. That's the point.
Yes, unlike some other shows we do occasionally, that we're scattered in apartments all throughout the city, but still.
But you are rather confident and happy with your lounge, right?
Yes, we are.
And your suite.
Yes, absolutely. We're taking good care. However, next year we'd like a helicopter.
Yeah.
Let's work on that.
There's a helicopter service here on the fairground.
You
know that, right?
No, I don't know that.
Oh, there
You've been holding out on us.
No, not at all. I mean, when you're flying into one of the 3 airports in Berlin, there's a direct link via helicopter shuttle. So next time, we might find a voucher for you.
We'll have to talk to Jens about that next time. Yeah.
He's the guy running the show.
What are the main trends this year and highlights that jump out at you at IFA?
Well, obviously HDTV. I mean, no doubt about that.
Very big.
Very, very big. But when you're walking around the halls, you see that the fact that we separated the digital imaging guys, the photo guys, the audio guys from the, let's say, the television guys, really boosted the show, because they were for the first time ever able to demonstrate that they on their own are able to run a great show. So I've seen digital cameras that are amazing. Let me just say the smiley effect. Do you know what the smiley effect is?
Yeah, the ability for, and they're announced here at IFA, some cameras to determine whether your subject is smiling or not.
And they just take the picture, the very second or the split second you start smiling. So taking pictures of you might be
no, come on, I'm always smiling. So yeah, we're gonna fill up the memory card.
I mean, this show is just amazing with regard to the quantity of new products shown here, and I'm every time again I'm truly and deeply impressed.
And have you announced the dates for next year's IFA yet, so folks can begin to mark their calendar, and whether they're manufacturers?
They are out, basically the same dates as this year, and we will be able to improve the show again.
Terrific. Well, we'll look forward to that. IFA-Berlin.de, IFA-Berlin.de for Deutschland, of course. And you want to come by their website and see everything that Dr. Göke and his staff have worked so hard on. And when you come by Graveline.com, we'll get you there as well. Links to all of our guests. Thanks so much for helping us kick off this week's edition of IFA.
My pleasure, Dave.
And we look forward to clearing the way now and chatting with even more of your exhibitors over the next 3 hours.
We will.
Terrific. Thank you, sir. When we come back, more from Berlin, Germany and IFA 2007. Dave Graveline bringing you further into tomorrow here on the Advanced Media Network.